Hola, amiguitos. It's me, Maestra Meza. I'm so happy to see all of you after such a long break. How is everybody? ¿Cómo están? Wow, it sounds like we all had many different experiences. I didn't do a lot of things, but I'm really happy I had time to relax and extra time to cook my favorite meals and desserts. But I won't get started talking about food because I have other more important things to discuss with you. You are all very observant, so I'm sure you've already noticed some of the changes that we've made on SF Loves Learning. For instance, you probably noticed that I started way earlier than I used to, and I'm also in Teacher Tiffany's spot. Well, that was a big change that was made to the show. It's going to be a little shorter than it was before, so we will be having less teachers, but we're still going to be doing a lot of learning, so don't worry about that. Another big change we have made is what we're going to learn. Can you remember the things we learned about our last season on our last season of the show? Muy bien! A lot of you remembered some good stuff. We learned a lot about ourselves, our families, our communities, and the differences within all of us. We also learned a lot about our wonderful city, San Francisco. Do any of you remember the fog experiment we did a few weeks before the break? Buenísimo. A lot of you remember that. How many of you really enjoyed learning about that with me? Great! I really enjoyed doing that with all of you. It actually has a lot to do with what we're going to learn about on this season. We're going to base our learning in science. Every week we will have a question or a few to investigate. We will ask questions, do some research, and sometimes we'll do experiments. And we'll also learn about some famous scientists as well as meet some local San Francisco Bay Area scientists. Are you all excited to learn about this with me? Qué bueno, many of you are. But I also heard that some of my amiguitos aren't sure what science is. Well, that's totally fine because I was going to take some time today to talk about it. During our time on the show, we are going to be scientists. But in order to figure out what a scientist is, we should learn a little more about science. So, are my scientists ready to get some learning done? Of course you are! Ooh, I'm so excited. Well, let's get started with some brainstorming. In order to answer the main question, who can be a scientist, we need to figure out what science is. I looked up a definition to give us a jump start, and it said, science is the study of the world through observation and experiment. Those last words really stuck out to me. Observation and experiment. That's interesting because I mentioned those two words earlier. I'm going to add them to my What is Science chart. Observation, experiment. Bueno, how exciting. We already have some ideas to help us answer our questions, but I'm having a hard time coming up with more answers. You know, it might help me think of things if I remember the times I've done something scientific. Let's take a moment to reflect. What did you do when you did science? Well, when I learn about new scientific concepts with my students, we ask a lot of questions. The questions helped us figure out what we were learning about, and, well, I'm going to add that to our chart. Ask questions. Ask questions. Oh, I just remembered something. At the beginning of this school year, my students and I made science notebooks at home. We would sketch and write our observations in them. Oh, that's two things we can add to the chart. Science notebooks and sketch and write. What is science? Science notebooks, sketching and writing. Something I used to really enjoy during science time in school was watching my students share their work with each other. They would get so excited sharing their results and thinking about what was going to happen. I'm going to add sharing results onto here because we did that a lot. I don't know about you, but I feel like I have a better understanding of science now. Let's reread our chart together. Our question in the middle says, what is science? And here are our answers. Observation, experiment, sharing results, asking questions, science notebooks, and sketching and writing. Wow, we were able to come up with a lot of ideas, and I'm certain these aren't the only ones either. We are so much closer to understanding what science is and also who can be a scientist. Since all of these are things that we do when we're doing science, I think we can assume that these are things that scientists do. Do you agree with me, amiguitos? I mean, scientists? Awesome. These are all things that scientists do. Scientists observe and do experiments. They ask questions. They sketch and write in their notebooks, and they share their results with others. Scientists are really important to the community. And hey, we know a lot about community, don't we? On Thursday, we'll learn more about a famous scientist that made a discovery that made a lot of change for people. There's even a school named after him here. When we learn about this scientist, we will see if they do all the things that we identified in a scientist. How exciting! So scientists, we learned so much today, which is amazing because we just came back from a nice long break. So we identified what science is, which is also what scientists are, and scientists, which of these things did we do today? Yes, we asked questions and, well, we didn't sketch, but we did write. And tomorrow, we're gonna do even more. Mañana, we will build on our learning by adding new questions. What does a scientist do? And what tools do they use? Think about that tonight so you'll be ready tomorrow. This is the end of our time together, but please continue watching because we have some great things prepared for you. I'm so happy to be back, and I can't wait to continue learning with you tomorrow. See ya, scientists!